You want to know something pretty amazing? Last week, struggling to write this article, right? I sit down, I share with my Titans men's group. I decide, wow, I have this creative idea. I'm going to record a video. I do it in one take. It takes, I don't know, 2 minutes. I sit on it for a day, post it on LinkedIn, and wow, it actually had a big result. I had a lot of comments. A lot of people I hadn't heard from in a while actually posted on it. It was really cool. And so I thought, I'm going to do this again. And what happened? I tried last week, the end of last week, and I recorded something. And I was like, "Hmm, I don't like that very much. And here I am having sit here. I just tried one take. I didn't even like how it began. So I started recording it again. And this is one of the things that is really challenging for me as someone who can be a bit of a perfectionist and really care how things look, because I can get in my way of actually just recording, actually just writing, actually just sending that email because I need it to be perfect. I need it to look good. And this is something that can get in the way for a lot of people. It shows up in our men's groups a lot, where men are committed to looking good. They're committed to looking good more than anything else. Got to look the right way. It's got to sound the right way versus just putting it into the world. And I oftentimes think about what Julia Cameron, who wrote the seminal book, The Artist's Way, wrote in that book, which is that perfection is not the search for the best in ourselves, but actually the search for the worst in ourselves. And I think that's really true that when I'm focusing on being perfect, I'm looking at all of the things that I'm doing wrong. And so what did I decide to do? I decided that instead of trying to figure out some really amazing thing to talk about and record, I would just talk about what was happening here in the moment. And that's a trick that I use with my clients a lot. It's a trick that I use with myself when I'm stuck, which is instead of trying to think and generate new ideas and create something really innovative, it's to go with what's actually right there. And this is a skill that I learned, or at least put a name to, while doing David Whyte's Invitas program on conversational leadership several years ago. Now, if you're not familiar with David Whyte, he's a fantastic poet who uses poetry as an entry point into talking about leadership and relationships and conversations and the like. And in that program, he talked about how the first step in conversational leadership, this 7 step process, is to start close in, to start with what's right there. And for me, what was right there in this moment was this need to be perfect, this need to say something smart, this need to say something that's going to resonate with people who I know and people I don't know. And that's something that I find can get in the way for so many. So figure I would share this, that if you're someone who struggles with perfection, if you're struggling to write that email, if you're struggling to give that presentation, if you're walking into a job interview and you're feeling nervous, just acknowledge it. Start with what's close in. Start with what's right there. Because once you actually work on that thing, once you put that on the table, you can get to the good stuff and you can stop trying to be so perfect. And to be frank, telling on myself, even as I've been recording this, talking about just being in the moment and starting close in, I've been thinking, how can I tie this to something really cool and beneficial and maybe life altering for someone? And the reality is, not everything needs to be that way. And I know inside our environment today, it can feel like there's a necessity to make the next big, the next best, the next revolutionary thing. And the fact is that it's oftentimes the simplest changes, the simplest solutions, the simplest ideas that have the most profound impact. So I leave you with that. Be simple, start close in, stop aiming for perfection, because if you do, you're aiming for the worst in yourself versus the best in yourself. And keep tuned to more of these videos. I'm really enjoying them, just flowing with it versus trying to be perfect and coming up with something super revolutionary or new. And really appreciate your feedback and tuning in. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jake Fishbein. I'm an executive coach and facilitator here in New York City. I run the Arena Men's Group, and I'm also an author. I'm going to be the author of the upcoming men's group novel, which I co-wrote with Nick Papadopoulos, all about a fictional men's group happening here in New York City. See you next time.